God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Welcome, family. This is your brother Boris Muhammad, and welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. And we're doing a part 2, right? You had the opportunity to see the dynamic interview we did with our brother Boris Muhammad. He's an author, researcher, just so much, right? And because of the excitement that I've seen regarding the clips and the comments and the texts I've been receiving about what our brother shared about the Supreme Wisdom lessons, we decided to do a part 2 to deal more with the lessons and to deal with some other critical aspects of our theology too. So let's get right to it. Let's bring our brother on. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So once again, my brother, thank you for granting us this opportunity to have you on our show again, and I want to get straight to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you too, brother, for allowing me to be a part of your interviews.
Praise you to Allah. So let's start off talking about this. When we talk about the Supreme Wisdom, what impact has studying the Supreme Wisdom had on your thinking and your overall growth and development as a Muslim?
Yes, sir. For me, as I mentioned in the last interview, I've been able to have a lot of the Supreme Wisdom on memory. Like, I can recite a lot of the lessons. So what I do is maybe every day or every other day, I recite the Supreme Wisdom lessons. And every time I recite it, things just come to mind sometimes. And as you mentioned, sometimes I have an aha moment, and I proceed to put that into writing. So basically, it wakes up your mind to see deeper into certain writings, specifically the scriptures of the Bible and the Holy Quran. You're able to see more, not just the first reading, but the under meanings of what is written. The Holy Quran says that if the word of Allah were as, the ink were as the seas, and the pen were as trees, you will not be able to exhaust the words of Allah. And that is true. And I see that, as every time I recite the lessons, more meaning comes. Even though I read it before, something new comes to mind. And this is, I see this development in myself. And that's what I have.
Praise be to Allah. And since we're talking about the Supreme Wisdom lessons, in my daily reading of the Supreme Wisdom and also in the problem book, I've noticed that the word Satan is not mentioned until you get to the last problems, problem 34 in the problem book. Have you noticed this as well? And if so, what is your study showing you about that? Why do you think that is the case? It mentions devil, but when you get to the last problems, then Satan is mentioned.
I never realized that until you mentioned it to me. And in that lesson, which is the 34th problem, it mentions Satan 2 times. There's a Satan, and then there's another Satan. So there's 2 Satans there. And the devil, he's mentioned before, at least 9 times before. But at the end, as you mentioned, Satan is placed there. So as I was thinking, and what came to my mind is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us. In one lecture he spoke about how, the devils, which are dumb devils, they do the work of Satan. Satan uses dumb devils to do his dirty work, and Satan remains hidden, right? And it's not until the end is when Satan comes out, and is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's the one that's bringing out Satan from his hiding place. So at the end of this lesson, which is in the 34th problem, relating to the end of a specific period of time, this is when Satan comes out of his hiding place. In the book of scriptures of the Bible, it talks about the man of sin, that there has to be a falling away first, and then that man of sin is revealed. The son of perdition. He the one to cast the people down to the earth, which relates to another part of the lessons as well. But yes, sir, Satan is revealed at the end, which is why I believe he's mentioned in the 34th problem, the last of the problems.
Yeah, and that is interesting. He comes selling an insurance policy, and then the other thing is talking about with the canal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
500 shares.
Yeah. Now, one of the books that I have, and I've had the opportunity to read the book, and it's on my schedule to read it again. It's talking about the Most High Elijah Muhammad being physically alive, and I love the way that you approach it, because you pull out many actual quotes from the Most High Elijah Muhammad talking about such. But you start off the book talking about the student enrollment, who is the original man, right? And you emphasize that it didn't ask the question, who was the original man? So can you talk about what your study has shown you regarding this distinction? Like we aren't asked who is, we aren't asked who was, we're asked who is.
Yes, sir. Now, I don't want to say that this has come from myself. Actually, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he and the messenger were speaking. It was in table talks, one of the messenger's table talks, where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asks the messenger the question, and he makes the point that the question is not who was the original man, but who is the original man. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that this refers to an original man in today's time, not of the past, right? And they begin to speak more of it. And this original man is actually original man of a new civilization that he must be married unto. The book of Revelation speaks of this as the bride adorned for the groom. The bride here, of course, is a new nation that is to come up. It's to come up out of the original man. The original man, I believe, is referring to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He is an original man, or the original man of a new civilization. Yes,
beautiful.
Sir.
Beautiful. And one of the clips that we put out from the last interview is where you were breaking down from your studies about the problem book and the 1/3 and the second uncle and the third uncle of Master Farad Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And you and I talked, and we talked about how, from your response, it made me see that some of what we read in the problem book is prophetical as well, because when the Savior wrote about the second and the third uncle, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wasn't even
well, he was born.
He wasn't born.
He was
yet.
born. He was a year old.
He was a year old. Wow,
Yes.
Think about that. Yeah, you're right. So that made me wonder if there's other aspects of the problem book that are prophetic. And from your studies, have you seen anything else like that?
Definitely. If you looked in the instructions to the laborers by Master Farad Muhammad in instruction number 3, he says that the laborers must speak and use grammatic pronunciation of words in syllables in past, future, and present perfect tense. Otherwise, will not be successful. Right? Now, it mentions past, present, and future, and we should be able to take these lessons as meaning something in the past, something in the present, and something in the future. So there's layers to the lessons. It's not just something referring to the past tense, but it refers to the present, and it also has something to do with the future. So you are right. Yes, the minister was only 1 year old at that time. In the problem book, you could say it prophesies of the minister at a certain stage of his development in our nation. So yes, sir. There's past, present, and future in our lessons.
Wow, thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. We have salute to those brothers, brother Michael 2X, and we got our brother Robert Abdullah. Thank you all for tuning in, and we appreciate it. And also we have this brother Mark. It sounds beautiful teaching. Looking forward to meeting you on Savior's Day. Here's the question, because this is by those who want to attack our theology and the foundation of our religion.
Mhm.
One of the things they say is this. They say that Master Farad Muhammad never referred to himself as God in a person. He called himself a prophet. And they try to use some aspects of the lessons to say, well, look, he's saying he's prophet, right? But there are aspects of the lessons where he's referred to as the Son of Man, our Savior. Can you explain and talk about that?
Oh, yes, sir. That has brought, it has been brought to my attention as well. In particular, from the brothers and sisters of the nations of gods and earth, or the 5% nation, Allah's 5%. They always bring that point up. Master Farad Muhammad, he's referred to as prophet. And that the original man is God. He's only the nephew, right? And the fact is that the lessons does say, as you mentioned, it does refer to Master Farad Muhammad as the Son of Man or God. So if you look at the number 9 in the 1 to 40, which is Lost Found Muslims lesson number 2, it says, why does the devil teach the 85% that a mystery God brings all this? The answer, it says, to conceal the true God, which is the Son of Man. There's more to it. But when you go to the number 10th question, it says, who is that mystery God? And the answer, there is not a mystery God. The Son of Man has searched for that mystery God for trillions of years and was unable to find a mystery God. So they have agreed that the only God is the Son of Man. So they lose no time searching for that does not exist. But now if you go to the 11th question, which is the key here, it says, will you sit at home and wait for that mystery God to bring you food? Answer, emphatically no. Me and my people who have been lost from home for 379 years have tried this so-called mystery God for bread, clothing, and a home. And we received nothing but hard times, hunger, naked, and out of doors. Also was beaten and killed by the ones who advocated that kind of God, and no relief came to us until the Son of Man came to our aid by the name of our prophet, W.D. Farad. So first we have, again, in the 9th, it says that the true God is the Son of Man. Number 10 says that the only God is the Son of Man. And then the 11th says that the Son of Man came to our aid by the name of our prophet, W.D. Farad. So if you use mathematical theology, you're just saying that Master Farad Muhammad is the Son of Man or is God, right? Now, some in the nation of 5%, I won't say all of them. There are some that I've spoken to where they don't put that part in their lessons. They don't put the name of our prophet, W.D. Farad. That's taken out, right? Yes, sir. But that's not all of them, just some of them. And going back to our lessons, which are Muslim lessons, we have to remember these lessons were given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by Master Farad Muhammad, or he questioned him, right? So we have to at least begin with their mind state and the way they understood what they were saying. We can't go too far off or we'll be accused of grafting the lessons and making these devil lessons. Anything grafted from original is devil. So we don't want to get to that. So when you go immediately to the 12th question, it says, tell us why the devil does not teach that. What was said in the 11th one? Why does the devil does not teach that? Because he desires to make slaves out of all he can so that he can rob them and live in luxury. Now, we don't want to be put in the place of what the devil does. So if we want to be in line with what Allah wants, is we must be able to teach what was stated in the 11th question, that the Son of Man came to our aid by the name of our prophet, W.D. Farad.
And there's writing that I've come across from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where he says that it was he who decided to start referring to Master Farad Muhammad as prophet. Like Master Farad Muhammad didn't tell him, but the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as a way into growing the believers into his identity, he started using that name until he can grow them into his identity. I think that's
yes, sir. Do you mind if I quote it? It's actually
quote it. Definitely, please.
It's written in Dr. Wesley Muhammad's book, Who Is He and Who Is He Not? Master Farad Muhammad, who is he and who is he not? This is from the interview that the messenger did with Hatim Sahib in 1951. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this: he did not teach us that he, meaning Master Farad Muhammad, was a prophet. We used to call him a prophet. I made the followers call him prophet because I did not know exactly what name to give him. no one called him prophet before me. You know, and he goes on to mention other names he tried, like master, and then he finally goes on to say that, you know, he himself says that I am God himself. That he actually went to a meeting. He said, I am God himself. So yes, sir. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that first started to call or refer to the W.D. Farad as prophet. But we sure, indeed, he called himself God. Even when Master Farad Muhammad was arrested, he told the detectives that he was the supreme being on earth. So yes, sir.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was the next question I want to talk about, because since we're discussing that, you know, there's some debate that's starting to take place. I'm starting to see it, unfortunately, within our own community, meaning registered members of the Nation of Islam, who are starting to question whether or not that this image is really an image of the Savior. And some people are saying that it's not. Now, I personally believe that it is, because the picture goes in line with what we're taught about the history. Two, our brother Dr. Wesley did the research, and I believe Brother Wesley is very thorough when it comes to the research. And there's another part in here, but I'll let you talk about it. Can you talk about why this image is authentic?
I would say that based on the history and the fact that this was from a newspaper, or this image was in a newspaper in 1932. So based on history, right? In that time, the Savior was present. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was present. There was no rebuttal to the picture. There was no, it wasn't said that this is a fake photo or anything like that. Not unlike the 1960, I believe 64 Montgomery newspaper, where they accused Master Farad Muhammad as being a criminal from San Quentin. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad came back with a rebuttal to that and placed the two pictures of one of the Savior and one of Wallace Dodd, and saying that one is the phony and one is the real, right? But in 1932, when that image was placed, there was no rebuttal from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There was no rebuttal from Master Farad Muhammad. That picture was an early picture. You know, if that was Wallace Dodd, you know, this picture or image was there a few years before the Montgomery issue, you know, of that newspaper. So for me, I believe it's an authentic picture of Master Farad Muhammad. In that image you showed, you have a black brother there. That's Ugan Ali, which I believe is the Savior's first minister at that time.
You're talking about the gentleman that's sitting to his left, sitting to the Savior's
yes, sir.
left.
Yes, he was also arrested with the Savior in 1932.
And who is he again?
Ugan Ali.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And who is Ugan Ali? Who was he?
Well, he was the first minister under W.D. Farad. He used to be in the Moorish Science Temple before he joined with the Savior. And if anybody knows anything of the history, when the Savior was arrested, you hear about a sister named, I think it was, what's her name? Sister Lily Ali, I believe. And they were protesting outside of the prison where the Savior was. And there was, I think, 500 Muslims outside the jail cell, you know. And it was led by Ugan Ali's wife at that time, you know.
Beautiful. Now, another thing, and thank you for sharing that. I didn't get a chance to put the actual picture up, but you know, every so often there's another attack on the Savior, and the Savior prophetically, he knew about that when in the instructions to the laborers, when he talks about why should the lost found dispute about our Savior, right? He knew that there'll be arguments about his identity, so he let us know that. Another one that just came up with this guy, he's a Muslim, from what I understand, Dr. Andrew Morrow, and you wrote a rebuttal that people can get if they go to your page. You tell them how to get it. Talk about that rebuttal that you did and how you came about it.
Yes, sir. Before I do that, I sent you an image which was writing. Yes, sir. I cannot see that as well as maybe you can. Can you read at least the underlying
You want me to read
portions of that for me?
the underlying red portions?
And the blue as well, just to
Okay, it
make the point.
says, while handwriting evolves over decades, these signatures are gold standard on which are any alleged signature of WD Farad must be compared. That's the first thing. Then it says, although I'm not an expert in forensic handwriting analysis, I can observe that the capital D on the last signature of Fred Dodd and the signature of W.D. Ford appear identical. The style on the capital F is also highly similar. The lowercase d is also consistent, and the final lowercase of the following same style, if I read that right.
Yes, sir. So here he says he gave his unexpert opinion. So in my writing, I also say, you know what? Let me give my unexpert opinion as well, right? And I definitely disagree with what he's just said, that the signatures are similar in any way. But I didn't keep it at that, you know.
So let me ask you this. So the stuff that we just read, that's Dr. Andrew Monroe's statement that we just read.
Yes, it's from his book, Finding W.D. Farad.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So what I did is I also compared the signatures, and I laid it out in my little pamphlet. It's only a 33-page pamphlet, and just going through the different writings and signature styles of the Savior compared with Wallace Dodd. As you can see in the image with the circle D in the green and the red, that's from the Savior, Master Farad Muhammad. That's problem number 30 that he had sent to Sister Bernstein Sharif. And then the other image there is a writing that is said to be of Wallace Dodd or Wally Dodd Ford. And if you just look at it, you can see that the lowercase in these two examples are totally different. If you go to the next image, was image number 2.
Okay, before we go to that, so you're saying the green is whose handwriting?
Well, in the first image, like I made a collage out of it. Those are signatures of the Savior, and that's written by Master Farad Muhammad.
And that's in green.
Yeah, the one circled in green, as well as the letters in red in that same image. That's the same way of writing the end of D, the lower case. So in the other image, you can see that the D's are written drastically different.
Okay.
And yes, so if you go to the next image, we get a closer look at the D's.
So for those who are watching, the first image to your left, that's the actual writing of the Savior. The image to your right, that's not the writing of the Savior. So our brother pointed out that the D's are not the same. And here's this other image.
Yes, sir. So here's a close-up of the D's. The one with, the circle of the D, that's the Savior's handwriting, and that's the Savior. That's the way he wrote the lowercase d at the end of his name. And the one beside it, of course, is from Wally Dodd. And you can see that the D's are different. And Chat GPT laid out what the differences are in the lowercase d. And I just want to, this is all in my writing. You could get the full extent of it, right? But it says that the first image, which is the Wallace Dodd, it says it has two distinct strokes of the D. It's narrow and partly open, and it's straight and rigid. Now, with the Savior's letter D, it says it's one continuous stroke. The way he wrote the D is one continuous stroke, as opposed to the Wallace Dodd, it has two distinct strokes. That's a major difference there. And also it's rounded and closed, as opposed to the other one being narrow and partly open. And it's also, the Savior's one is also curved and fluid, while the Wallace Dodd is straight and rigid. And there's more to it, of course. But one of the things I mentioned in my writing is that you have to look at the way the Savior wrote consistently. Consistently, this is the way he wrote the D's and all the other letters. There's also the way he wrote the capital I, even the F's, the capital D. I compared the capital D as well in that writing, and you could all get it. If you go to my page, Boris Muhammad on Facebook, I will let you know how you can attain that writing. But
beautiful,
definitely the consistency of the way the Savior wrote. It also shows that there was no in trying to camouflage or trying to hide it, because this is something that is done from the self, and not something you try to do.
Beautiful. So in this image, the images on the left is from the Savior. The image on the right is not.
Let me see. The one with the red circle D, that's Wallace Dodd. The one with the green, that's the Savior.
That's the Savior.
And you could tell, you could see that they're both different D's.
Got it. The one on the left is Dodd. The one on the right is from the Savior. Okay. Yes, and sir. Let's do this. Get off. But thank you. And I left that up there because it's important that believers know about this, because we have to equip one another with this stuff so we can defend off these attacks. Let me put some stuff up. Brother said the one piece of Master Muhammad that we're convicted represented by the Most High Elijah Muhammad. Talking about that picture. And the Most High Elijah Muhammad admitted that there were other pictures that he had of the Savior as well. And then we have some people that have some questions, but we're going to get to those questions from our brother Mark. And we have our sister. She has a question too, and we're going to get to your question, dear sister. She had it. Yeah, we're going to get it. We get it. But let's go through these. We're coming back, and thank each and every one of you all for tuning in and on this Sunday, and for your comments. We're going to get to all of them, inshallah. So you talked about this last time. You talked about, I came across your statement where you wrote about the average person can be robbed successfully with 1/3 of the unsound brain. And you talked about how there's a connection of that to the hypocrite. Can you expound on that from your studies?
Yes, sir. I did mention in the last interview that the 1/3 representing the hypocrites, and that when I went to Buffalo, New York, to the mosque there, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, while he was speaking, I believe it was a believers meeting, and he was discussing that particular problem about the first uncle, second uncle, and third uncle. And the minister said, I am that third uncle. In another lecture, I know that the minister also referred to the atom weighing, or 1/3 of the atom that is cracked. There's a certain weight to it, right? He said that the 1/3 here represents, in his personal life, that 1 out of every 3 of the people that hear him will become a hypocrite to him. And this is the heavy burden that he has to carry. So the problem is how much the 1/3 of a cracked atom weighs. Of course, the cracked atom here being the minister, the 1/3 here being the hypocrites. That is a heavy burden that he has to carry, and we have to help with that problem of carrying that weight. So yes, the 1/3 representing the hypocrites. And if you look at that problem, it speaks about how much the devil has to wait to rob of said the poison animal eater at the above rates. It speaks about, the people that eat the poison animal, how it sounds the mental power, and how long will it take to sound the 7 1/2 ounces of brain. If we calculate the math in this, I did it quickly. I just didn't write it down, but it talks about the 1/3 of the brain is it will take 44 days to sound that part of the brain. Wow. And the rest will take 444 days, or 1.5 years, or almost 2 years for the devil to wait to rob of said the poison animal eaters. The poison animal here could refer to the swine, but it could also refer to a teaching that is a false teaching, a false ideology. And we know that this false ideology was brought into the Nation of Islam in 1975, and it caused the believers to fall,
Beautiful.
Their mental power was sounded. Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing that. For those who are hearing this, when you hear it, go back and open up those lessons and read it and strive to commit them to memory. Somebody asked this question: Sister Darlene, how do we purchase your books? They want to know how can they get your copies of your books.
Just go to my Facebook page, Boris Muhammad, and message me directly, and I will show you how to get my books. So
Praise
it's
be to God.
Boris Muhammad at Facebook.
And we welcome, thank you. We got Sean, Walaikum Salam. Our sister says, that's right. We're going to go to our sister's question. She asked a question as well. Let's go to it. She said this, Brother Boris. I don't know if you can see it. Can you discuss Satan came along and sold him insurance? Some of us sell life insurance policies. Please share your thoughts. Is this a contradiction since this act is in the problem book?
I don't know about the physical reality of selling insurance. I had bought insurance myself at one time. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it in that sense, but I think that lesson has something to do with something that happened in 1975. And if the lessons are prophetic, it may happen again. It says that that person, I think it was the uncle, was promised full reward on the approval of his death. I believe that that's referring to the hypocrites in 1975, that once it is approved that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has passed, they will get a full benefit of what they were promised, And this goes back again to the hypocrites or the second uncle. Yes, sir.
They thought they was going to get something. Well, we know they didn't get that. And the other thing, too, when I read that, I was wondering if it was also talking about that idea that they sold to us under the name of religion, that a pie in the sky, life after death. You're going to get a full reward after you die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never saw that before, but that definitely sounds correct. That can also be, selling you that technology of a mystery God.
As a mystery God.
Yes,
Somebody asked this. Somebody mentioned this right here. Our brother said he didn't want to post this in a forum. The question of actual facts that myself and you and Brother Boris discussed recently. I don't recall what was discussed. Something about the actual facts. Do you remember, Brother Boris?
Oh yes. Well, I believe I know what. Is it a brother, Mark?
Yes.
I believe I know what the brother's referring to. Whether the actual facts were originated by Master Farad Muhammad.
Oh, because that's what that guy's coming out in the book.
Yeah, and how the actual facts can be found prior to the Savior coming among us and teaching us about the actual facts. I have that on PDF myself, that almanac, 1928 almanac. There are facts that are similar to the actual facts. Also, there's another part where it says that the earth weighs 6 sextillion tons, and that was calculated. Yeah, that was calculated before. And I think one of the Greeks, I don't know too much of the history, but they definitely discovered at that time, they thought that the earth was flat. And then they came to the realization that it was actually a sphere, and that they were able to calculate the mass and the weight of the earth. So yeah, all of that was done. But if you look at the problem book itself, in the problem book, the Savior is laying out, the measurements of the planet, the earth, Mars, Mercury, Neptune, Pluto, giving all these actual facts. And then at the end, it says that all these figures stand true, figure for figure, by the study of the Son of Man. Now, we may think that Allah is some mystery God, but no, the Savior studied. So let's say maybe he studied it himself. He calculated these and found it to be true and actual facts, and he placed them in our lessons. There's nothing wrong with God studying. God studies, God learns, and God develops. So yes, sir, that's what I have to say about it.
And remember, from what we're taught, that his father would travel all around the world, paying top dollar for pieces of knowledge that he would use that was all part of our stuff. And that's the thing. He studies. In the book of Revelations, he's sitting on the throne with a book in his hand. You think he got the book, he's not reading it? He has to know what's in it. You feel what I'm saying? And the thing is, but then also he comes in fulfillment in the book of Habakkuk, where he's talking about the measurements of the earth and all of that stuff. The answer is in the teachers. Go ahead, you were about to make a point.
Yeah, there's something that Mother Tanetta Muhammad wrote on this aspect here. Not directly, but she said that the Savior is like what the Holy Quran mentions about the bee and being able to go to different branches and get the nourishment and making a pure honey for the believers. So, and this is what the Savior did. He studied for 42 years, as you mentioned. His father
Great
took
point.
him, as you said, taking books of wisdom or on the history of such and such man and put it into a book for him to study. And he brought it in and made it into a medicine for us.
For us. Say that.
Directly for us, using bits and pieces from all of these different histories, all of these different knowledges and books, as we mentioned here.
And, you know, we've taught that Master Muhammad study for how many years?
Well, 42 years. It doesn't mean he stopped studying, but
Yeah,
42
it doesn't mean that he
years.
stopped.
Yeah.
But as a history teacher, when I cover the ancient Egyptian or ancient Kemite civilization, they're mystery schools where they would go, people would attend these mystery schools for 40 some years. And like you mentioned with the Greeks, and we already know where they came and got this knowledge from.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So
They went among the Egyptians with the Kemites.
it's definitely there. Let me bring this up and I'm gonna ask another question because I want to use this interview as we talked about to equip the believers. Can you talk about the gentleman that you see circled? This is another attack that they use or try to use against the Savior. They said that the lady ma'am had said that this man who circled, Abdullah Muhammad, I believe his name was, that he told him, Muhammad Abdullah, that he told the imam that he was Master Farad Muhammad who taught his father. What does your studies show about that?
Well, from my studies, that is a lie. And nowadays that this has been thoroughly debunked. Even in your book, I know you addressed this issue as well.
Yeah.
And this is definitely not the Savior. In one of his writings, or actually it was an interview, he was asked the question whether he was Master Farad Muhammad that taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he said that, I taught Wallace D. Muhammad some lessons of knowledge, but then he says that I am not the one who taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In fact, in the 1930s, he was still in the Fijis.
Yes.
He didn't come to America yet.
Yes. And here's what you mentioned. This is the actual quote. It comes from the book that I was blessed to put together, where he says, "It's all right to say that I'm Farad Muhammad to Wallace D. Muhammad. I taught him some lessons, but I am not the same person who taught Elijah Muhammad. I am not God." Right?
Yes,
it's
sir.
interesting. He says, look how he says it. I am not God. So what is he saying about the man who taught the Most High Elijah Muhammad? And then here's another one right here. This is where the Imam's brother Dr. Akbar Muhammad, he says, with respect to Muhammad Abdullah, with all due respect to Imam W.D. Muhammad, may Allah the Most High be merciful to him, I am not inclined to believe that he was Farad. Why? Because I have not met Muhammad Abdullah, nor am I aware of an authoritative report which he stated that he is Farad who appeared in the 1930s. Now that's the brother of of Imam Warabdin Muhammad. And here, as you mentioned, this right here in the census that Muhammad Abdullah said he didn't come into the country until 1955.
Yes, sir.
He was in San Francisco. So, like you said, the evidence is out there. And with your book, my book, the writings of our brother, Dr. Wesley, is there for people to get it. And let me ask somebody ask this question as well. And see what you have on this one. I know this was on the spot, but let's see. She said, can you discuss the stock in Panama Canal and the significance of Trump's interest in that region? Now that's kind of heavy.
Yeah, no, brother. I have not studied or looked into that. Is that a brother or?
That was a sister. Great question,
sister.
Sister.
Yeah, I can't see the image, but
yeah, she talked about.
No, I have not studied into that.
Yeah, with the Panama Canal, one of the things that when I had the opportunity to do some study into it, one of the principles that I've seen is that the uncle of the Savior he's not getting a return on his investment. Like he's investing in this system more than he gets out of the system, right? And in addition to that, he's investing to something that he's already the owner of. So we got to just look at that in different perspectives, right?
Yes,
Let's look at this right here. Now I'm asking you this because I saw your research on this. I came across your post where you talked about how the laborers are liable for punishment if using baby language, right? What have your studies shown you about that?
Okay. I went back into my writing. I have the meaning here of found from a dictionary of the Supreme Wisdom Lessons by Brother Boris Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was researching that subject about founding and found in baby language, I looked up the word found, and I'm just going to read it for you. It says, this is the verb. It says, to bring into being, to set up or establish. 2, to build or establish the foundation or basis of. 3, to have a basis, depend. And this is found 3 verb is what? To cast by melting and pouring into a mold. And then it's also to shape or make in this way and to cast. Now, it also has something to do with pouring liquid into a vessel or pouring liquid out of a vessel. So when I was looking at that, the laborers are liable to punishment if found using baby language. The master, W.D. Fraud, he came among us and he found us here. Meaning that he found us, he started to teach us knowledge, wisdom, understanding, similar to pouring liquid into an empty vessel. This is what is similar to what the Hebrew word for Messiah is, Messiah, to pour into with some type of an oil. There's a song by Bob Marley. Was it Bob Marley? But something about his cup runneth over. He was poured so much oil that his cup runneth over. But anyway, the point is that if you are found using baby language, the minister says that this is an immature understanding of what the Savior gave us, similar to the pills that is spoken of in our problem book. But anyway, so this immature understanding, if we are found with that, meaning if we were saved, we accepted this teaching, which is considered a wake-up message. If we were found with that, we are liable to punishment. Why is that? Because if we don't mature into a higher level of understanding, and this is what I believe the Honorable Minister as far as is bringing to us, is a higher level of understanding, to not deal with a past understanding, but to the present understanding, in today's time. The lessons are in terms of time. We have to be in the proper term, or we will not be successful. So if we are found using baby language, we're liable to punishment. So we have to grow from that baby understanding into a pure or a more mature understanding. Wow. So this is what I get out of that, my brother.
Wow, I think you just kind of answered question 11 that I had. Let me ask you this, because this is a question. And you don't try to answer something that you don't know the answer to, and I appreciate that. In the problem book, it talks about different rewards, like in the different sizes of the Quran, and they're given to the best winner. Have you looked into that, and what have you seen?
A little bit, not too much, but it refers to award and prizes are awaiting the best winner. Prize number 1, a large Quran Sharif. Prize number 2, a home Quran Sharif. Prize number 3, a pocket Quran Sharif. But as I was looking, there's a difference between a reward and prizes. A prize refers to some type of a competition. You'll get maybe a reward of money when you win, a price of money, but a reward is more enduring. It is more personable. It's more of a development. As you develop, you'll get rewards for your actions and for what you are doing and striving for. You will get rewards, and it's a continuous thing. But a price is more like a competition. And we definitely, we are always in righteous competition as believers. But the reward is more of a personal thing, I believe. We should always strive to get our reward and not lose our reward. Our reward here being our life. Do not lose your life. The life here and being that spiritual life that we were given by our Savior Allah.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
That is good. And From my personal studies and reading of the lessons, what I've come to see is I believe that Allah has some understanding for every believer if we work to carry out his instructions, reading them daily and committing them to memory. And I lead to this question. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Brother Jabril some years ago in Phoenix, and it was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. Right, but one of the things he told us is about how the Most High Elijah Muhammad told him that if you want to gain an understanding of the problem book, you got to read whatever it is. Keep reading it, keep reading it, keep reading it. Right.
Yes, sir.
My question to you is, why do you think that is so? Why do you think like the repetition of reading it over and over helps with the understanding?
Uh, well, if you look at what we were given, it has it's symbolic language. A lot of it is symbolic language. The Savior never said something that you would not have to try to figure out to understand what he said by what he said. There is a meaning to everything he said, and he never spoke anything direct necessarily. Like direct, you would have to always find out what he meant by what he said. Now he spoke about you know not giving the babies meat but giving milk. Well, we understand that now. He's referring to teaching, not necessarily meat or milk, but the meat here being that hard truth that maybe many of us may not be able to digest at first. So we have to give the babies a little milk. We were babies at the time, babies in understanding, right? So in our lessons, these the words there they have is an image, it has a picture, and once you recite it over and over again, these pictures will begin to open up to you and show you what is in the picture or the meaning inside of the picture. That's when you repeat it over and over again. Master Farad Muhammad. If you go to, I believe it will be in Detroit this year, but there's a letter he wrote, and he actually was saying that if you read the lesson 50 times, right, you will begin to see or understand a particular
Wow.
problem 50
Wow.
times.
Wow.
But there's also another key here is you also have to be in line with the mind and thinking of the Savior or the mind and thinking of Allah. Your heart has to be purified. That's the other way that you can begin to understand what was in the mind and heart of the Savior as he was writing these lessons. Right. So yes,
And
repetition is one, and being in line with the Savior as well.
I wish I had it next to me. Our sister Medina, who recently put out another book with her mother's writings and letters, and there's a part where her mother quotes Master Farad Muhammad, where he was talking about food, but he was comparing it to the teachings about being careful giving the baby this. I wish I had. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And how there was some stuff where he told her using about sewing and the fabric, but it was comparing to truth and to the teachers. And I feel that he did that because he knew there'll be those the enemy will get their hands on these lessons. People will put them out and to people before they even go through the process. So he's a wise savior. He knew that listen, people can physically have the lessons, but you can
Oh yeah,
physically have them, but you don't really have them.
definitely. Now the lessons you could find them online nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different
Mm-hmm.
lessons. So as you said, the Savior using a certain type of language,
Mm-hmm.
and once we are in tune with Him and the language, we are able to see what those that maybe have their lessons are not in line with the Savior. They won't be able to see what He actually had in mind when He wrote the lessons. So yes, many people have the lessons literally, but maybe they don't have the true understanding that the Savior intended for those lessons. You
Beautiful,
know.
beautiful. Let me just do some announcements right fast, and we'll get to it.
Mhm.
Those interested, if you're interested in advertising on our show, reach out to me. Let us know. We can let you know what you can do to be able to do so. Also, if there's any people that you feel that you would like us to interview, let us know. We'll find out more about them. You'll be able to see that link for that in our description. And also, we had for $1. How's that? You can hear me now,
Okay,
right?
yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Add a little. Let me get out of here. All right. Well, we're almost to the end now. So, is there any closing words you would like to state?
I just want to again thank you, Brother Willie, for having me on. I hope that whatever I said was clear and the people appreciated, what I said, and hopefully, as believers, we could get on our lessons and study our lessons more and more. This is what the Savior wanted. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us the Savior wanted, is for us to memorize our lessons and be able to recite them by heart, right? So if there's anything that came out of today is for me, to share what I have so that it can inspire the believers to get on their lessons. So thank you for allowing me to say what I had to say for that purpose.
Okay, good, and thank you. And we got some more questions coming up. Let me show you this. Well, let me put this up. These are our brother's books, family. These are our brother's books right here. So if you like he said, reach out to him on his Facebook page so you can actually find out more about his books. And let's get to these questions right fast, and we'll take these last two. The first question, it says, peace be with us. Question, is our message to the black man in America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is it valuable today as it was in 1965?
Yes, I believe it is. Even if you read Message to the Black Man before, if you notice, if you read it again, it's almost like you never read it before, because other things will come out of it. Remember, we develop as time goes on, we grow, we mature, and our understanding matures, right? And so when we read the book again, we will see it in a different light. So don't think just because you read it once that, whatever, it's the end of it. No, read it again. Read it as you have grown and matured in your life. You will be able to see new things, and be able to apply the principles that he laid out in the book, Message to the Black Man, and his other writings, of course. But yes, I believe it is applicable today and is beneficial for us today. I believe he's the one with the only working program that would get the black man up from his condition, and to do something for themselves. So, yeah, read the book again.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Here's another question. Our sisters, here we go. Wait up, here we go. I say they agree. The question is, Sister Aisha, in our supreme lessons, it speaks of the devil possessing one book while the original had 59,999 books. Is there a list of the books?
I have not seen
your studies.
I have not seen a list of the books. I know that the problem book mentions the different types of mathematics that were given in the lessons, but there's no list of 59,999 other books. I have not seen a list of it.
Beautiful. And I from my
studies, can I say this? Can I say this? Because we also have to understand that books comes from the minds of men, right? It may not even be referring to physical books, but to people from whom ideas are brought out and maybe put into book form. We know that 59,999 books can refer to the 59,999 people that followed Yaqub, and Yaqub being the 60,000th one, right? The book Holy Quran, yes, it's in book form, but it was revealed through a man and by a man, and then it was later on written down. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he spoke, he acted, he did things, and what he said is put into book form, but he's the actual book. He is the Quran, right? So books are not just books on paper, but books come from the minds of men. So beautiful. If we look at it that way, we'll be able to see, a totally new understanding of books.
Right. And great question, because that's another thing as well. Like what I'm learning, there are things that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said in the history, stuff the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan has said that serve as little keys that can help us unlock aspects of the lessons. Like you mentioned, what the minister said about the 1/3, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
then the 1/3 of the split atom. We know that 59,999, and it's definitely a great question that was asked, because when we ask questions like this can help us get into the actual understanding, right? And we know that 59,999 was connected to Yaqub. And there's a lecture that's online. It's one of the powerful lectures. It's titled Muhammad the Book. Did you ever hear about that? You heard of that from
No,
the
sir.
album? Well, you got to listen to that. It was
Wow.
the minister he was the minister in New York. So this is like 1974. And the lecture that he does, he makes the argument that the book is not a book. The book is the man.
Who did the lecture?
Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, Minister Farrakhan.
It's
Okay.
called Muhammad the Book. And he makes the point that he was making a point that the book is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And if we study him, and we know that that's true for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan today too, right? So it's all of those things. So those are great questions that people ask, great responses. You know, I'm a big advocate of hopefully one day you compile all of those little study notes that you place on social media and
I have been thinking about it
and put it in a book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And put it in the book so that we can have it, because we have to build. There's a lot that's locked into those lessons. Let's see.
Oh, yes, sir.
Coming through. Let me see what they got. Somebody said, "Long live Muhammad." So, dear brother, we thank you for your time, man. I thank you for your scholarship, and you know, maybe we might have to come back sometime in the future. I was thinking about reaching out to another podcast and asking them to get you to come on so you can talk about the book and what you put when you talked about the Mosaic Elijah Muhammad physically alive, because I like the way
that subject.
Huh?
I love that subject.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna reach out to somebody and say, hey, y'all may want to bring them on and talk about this, because it's very important. And the way that you do it, you know, a lot of people try to say, oh, brother Jabril was crazy, or the minister is this. But these are the same people who say that they believe in the Most High Elijah Muhammad, but then you come with words from the Most High Elijah Muhammad. Now argue with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
they can't.
Yeah, they can't at all, man. So some last comment somebody said, like when the brother talked about the meaning of the stories and the 13 ducks from the last interview. So our brother, to me, you're an example of one of the unwrapped gifts that we have in our nation and the scholarship. And I thank Allah for the way that he made you and the way that he made your mind, and for what you're doing, my brother. Thank you. May Allah continue to bless you. And thank you for accepting the invitation to be on our show. I have a testimony.
Thank you, brother. Praises due to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks, so dynamic, right? It's a dynamic with our brother. What he shared, he's a scholar, and there are others who are out there that are getting into the teachings, and they're very serious about the teachings, and they have some stuff. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank every one of you all for taking the time out to ask questions and make comments. I didn't think we was going to be able to finish in the whole hour. We had a bunch of questions, but we were able to do it. May Allah continue to bless each and every one of you all. This is your brother signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.